Yeah, David Dread of Steel Pulse, and I'm saying hail to the lion voice because it's time that the lion have its voice, have its own story. Says I'm stepping out here. Hear me now. Yeah, the lion's voice. Raw.
Well, from to us a son was born and a child was given.
I want to ask you a question. Have you got your book? Haile Selassie's Ethiopia Volume 1, The Rise of the Priest Warrior King. I've read the book in its entirety and I must say it's very inspirational, very informative and very historical, right?
Them call him Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Rastafari. Lion break the chain, beat not, don't cry. Them call him Rastafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England.
Big up the Lion Pride and the Lion Pride on Patreon. How do you become a part of the Lion Pride? If you subscribe, you are part of the Lion Pride. We just got our analytics in for August, and August has been our biggest month since we started the channel. Over 14,000 views in August. We're over 8,000 unique viewers coming to the channel. It is a great honor. Over 200 subscriptions in the last 28 days. It's been an honor to see the growth. Big up all of the Ethiopian family. We are doing a series on the FANO uprising in Ethiopia using the history. And since we started doing that history, a lot of my Ethiopian brethren and sistren, my Wandame and Ihete, have come to be a part of the channel. I've been commenting a robust discussion about the uprising. A lot of Amhara family have been tuning in. We just want to say welcome. And this is again a non-political channel. Oromo, our INI brothers. Tigray, our INI brothers. Eritrea, our INI brothers. Somali, our INI brothers. And all of the different people within Ethiopia, from Goragi down into the Omo Valley. We are saying one Ethiopia on this channel. So big up all of the Ethiopian them. We understand it's a sensitive topic. We understand there are different perspectives. And that's what we want to talk about on this episode. We're going to end our 3-part series. If you haven't seen part 1 or part 2, make sure you check them out. Is Ethiopia on the brink of civil war? We've been asking this question using the history. We heard what the Ethiopians had to say in our last episode. That's doing very well. One of our highest performing videos ever on the channel, over 2,000 views. Go check out that video. And then we've also had the first video where we were reading from Haile Selassie's Ethiopia, my first book, where we go into the history. We're going to do a little bit of that in this episode as well. And we're going to bring it full circle. To see, we're going to ask the question, is Menelik II to blame? Because that's one of the talking points put out there within Oromo. We saw the destruction of many statues. The statue of Rastafari in Harar was destroyed. Different statues and iconic things of the imperial Ethiopia were destroyed during the Oromo uprising that took place in Ethiopia. Now Amhara is uprising. So we wanted to put some context, because a lot of people seeing this will just think it's the normal, African coup d'etat and this and that, which is being fomented by outside, which they would not be wrong. But you have to go deeper into Ethiopian history to see that this is a cycle that has gone on even before Europeans had a major impact in the realm. The kingdoms were warring against each other. We go to the era of princes, when the Oromo dominated for hundreds of years. The Ujo Oromo, most notably Rasali, was the dominant figure controlling the emperors in Gandhar. So what are we saying? We're saying, what is the solution? But before we jump into all of that, I just want to say, big up all of the sponsors. Big up CMOS Life, the number one CMOS in my estimation I've ever tasted. Beautiful. So much that I myself am getting involved in the company. We're going to have more information on CMOS, how you can get your CMOS. You can go to the website, check it out. But I'm telling you, you've never tasted a better CMOS. And I challenge anyone out there to taste the product and tell me if they've tasted a better CMOS. Drop a comment, let I and I know. Also brought by Ramia King Design. I have my tumbler. You can put warm liquid in this, carry it same way without no thing. I put hot coffee in this, all kind of thing. I put my cold beverage, but trust me, you have all different designs, whether it's Caribbean islands. You know I had to go with Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. So big up Ramia King Designs. They're at all the local festivals in the DMV, and you can send them an email online, or you can check them out on their Facebook page. All of the links are here at the Lion Voice Network. So now that we have that, also before we touch that, please, the best way to support the content is to support the Patreon. We are doing this, but this is not how we want to continue. I'm in my gates using modern technology to reach the masses. But we want to build a production studio. We want a Rastafari top tier production. We want to get into animation. We want the Battle of Ottawa animated film, for example. We want the Battle for Harar done well in film. We want all of these historic, the rising of Ahmed Grant from Harar, you know, the conquest of Abyssinia. We want Ya Santo a movie. We want so much things to tell our stories. It starts here with word, sound, and power, and following it up with works, faith and works, and we will manifest it. But I cannot manifest it without the people support. So please go to Patreon, drop $5, $10, $25 a month. We will be uploading exclusive content, exclusive music. We just dropped the full interview of Dr. Akililu. A lot of people commented, said they liked that interview. Former president of Haile Selassie University. The episode, which was episode 10, was only 20 minutes. We have the full, almost 50-minute interview up there talking about, you know, dealing with His Majesty, talking about the ethnic division in Ethiopia. We go deep. So
the truth is, in my opinion, that when you have very many tribes living in one part of a country,
Yes.
that sooner or later you interact.
Yes.
And that the idea of keeping you separate apart rarely happens, if at all, rarely happens.
Yes.
And that's exactly what happened in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, the Amharas, the Oromos, the Tigres, the Gurages, and the others intermarried.
Yes.
And we're one people. When you come to ask who was your father, who was your grandfather, and you go back, at some stage, somebody comes. It all comes to different tribes.
So jump on the Patreon, support the Patreon, and then we can build this growing movement. Now let's get forward into the topic. The topic is, what is the solution? Is Menelik to blame? We want to look at all of these things. So first, let's just jump into this clip and listen to an excerpt from Haile Selassie's Ethiopia, and then we'll come forward, a reason around it, and bring this to a fullness. Listen to the clip. I says,
The Rise of King of Kings, Menelik II. In 1868, when the British government finally decided to move against Tewodros II for imprisoning their nationals, Menelik II refused to help them. He also informed the British that he would not aid Tewodros II either. Yet he would defend the borders of Shoa should the British attempt to violate them for any reason. As the British invasion commenced, Menelik II camped his army in Wollo to await the outcome. His love for Tewodros II prevented him from being in Wollo until the invasion was concluded. He left Wollo at Easter to go to Shoa for spiritual rejuvenation. Meanwhile, Queen Rwakitu never forgave Tewodros II for the death of her son. After the British turned the tide against the emperor, many members of his fleeing army were killed by the warriors of Wollo. When the queen died in 1868, Menelik II decided that it was time for the kingdom of Shoa to control the kingdom of Wollo. This would give him a reliable buffer zone against Tigray and the rising power of Dejkwasi Kasa. Unknown to Menelik II at the time was the fact that Kasa was on his way to becoming Emperor Yohannes IV. Abawato of Wollo did not agree with Wollo being under Shoan rule and made it clear that it would not abide. However, Abawato did not have the strength to take on Menelik II's forces. When Dejkwasi Kasa became Emperor Yohannes IV, Abawato pledged allegiance to his throne, hoping to get protection from the powerful new emperor. That protection never came. Emperor Yohannes IV had to deal with external threats to his newly acquired realm and left Abawato to fend for himself. Menelik II seized the opportunity and captured Magdala, imprisoned Abawato, and appointed an ally as governor of Wollo, Muhammad Ali, a relative of Queen Rwakitu. This alliance, like the province of Wollo itself, would have significant importance in years to come.
So, that was a clip. Big up Mrs. Bantu reading the clip. Typically I'll read, but we want to try different things. We're experimenting with different formats. So if you like the female voice, sometimes you say, boy, the Rasta talk so much. It's a nice little break. Drop a comment. Let me know how you feel about having Mrs. Bantu do some of the readings then. To have that female voice. And we've done it in the past, but we are, thinking about doing that more. So let I know. But if you listen to the clip, just to put the context, you had the era of princes, the Zemini Massafique, which was an era of Oromo dominance in the country that was ended by Emperor Tewodros, who is Amhara, predominantly. He has other ethnicities mixed in there as well, but predominantly Amhara. And then you had him deposed with the help of Tigray, Emperor Yohannes IV rising. So you had an era of dominance by Tigray, and then Tigray emperor died defending the country from Islamic invasion. And then we have Shoa rise to prominence with Emperor Menelik II. As these emperors are rising, they are, asking fealty from the other kingdoms. Basically, they're looking to subdue. And how that typically works, they ask for a voluntary surrender, where you pay homage, basically becoming a vassal state of the central government. So there are still these kingdoms, and it's important to note that in these times, these kingdoms would still be autonomous, meaning there was no infrastructure to really, more than they might have a group of soldiers garrisoned near that kingdom if they were concerned. But the local rulers typically were still governing, but they would have to, pay taxes onto the central government, whatever that was negotiated. So you had a lot of the proud kingdoms of Ethiopia that chose to fight rather than go into this arrangement. And this is where the cycle of war came to play.
Well, the leaders of the world have failed in their responsibility to lead the youths them to a brighter future. Well, I and I hear the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, Earth's rightful ruler. Or just the way Rastafari crowd, unconquerable. We come to tell them about Babylon, they're falling down. To far right is uncle you. Me come fi tell them about the way Rastafari crown unconquerable. Me come fi tell them about Babylon, they're falling down to far right. This uncle you. Me come fi tell them about holy palace intrigue, infighting between Solomon seed. Well, Empress tried to want her family to lead. Well, King Michael want him son to lead, but King Michael now watch the orphan married to him niece, who get up every day and a study and a read. He work and he pray every day. He achieve. Them say you're the leader. Every nation need a just the way Rastafari crown unconquerable. Me come fi tell them about Babylon, they're falling down to far right. It's uncle you. Me come fi tell them about the way Rastafari crown unconquerable. Me come fi tell them about Babylon, they're falling down to far right. It's uncle you. Well, Ras Michael, son was having a good time when he should mind the affairs of the state, cause he's descent from the great line of Menelik II. But he's stepping on toes of his elders, treat his women like hoes, he exposed. Now we working with the Ottoman Turks, say he's descending from Muhammad, but that's not how this works. See, the crown was anointed by the Orthodox Church, so if you are ruling as I, then you have to put Christ first.